welcome to yet another session of Experts and Insights Live. We've got Tivadar with us today, and Tivadar is the author of a brand new book called Mathematics for Machine Learning. Before I pass on the baton to Tivadar to introduce himself, if people can just confirm that they can hear us, we're not talking to ourselves. I'm definitely not on mute. Tivadar, are you on mute?
I don't think so.
Nope, you're not on mute. I can hear you. So yeah, if people can just confirm in the comment section, they can hear us. We'll get started. We'll just give them about 5-10 seconds. I can see that the numbers are populating over here. It could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn. I'm not sure where they are. But yeah, if people can just comment, that would be helpful for us to understand that we're not alone. We'll just wait a few seconds before Tivadar introduces himself. In case we don't hear from anyone, we'll just get, oh, there you go. Thank you so much. There is someone called Alexander Andarena, Anterena, and then there is Hania. Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you so much, Hania, for confirming. There's Matthew. Thank you so much. So, okay, we are not alone. Perfect. Uh,
Okay.
Over to you, Tuada. Can you introduce who you are, what do you do, and why we're here today?
Hi, my name is Tivadar, and I wrote a book about the mathematics of machine learning. What am I doing? It's a difficult question. So I was a researcher once upon a time, a couple of years ago. I did a PhD in mathematics. Then I switched from math to bioimage analysis, bioinformatics. And
Hmm.
that's when I was introduced to machine learning about 10 years ago or so. So now I feel a bit old, never mind. About 10 years ago, I started to work on deep learning, whatnot, mostly computer vision. And over the time, basically, I became the person in a research group full of computer scientists and biologists. I was one of the two mathematicians there. I was
Hmm.
the one who was explaining mathematical concepts to my colleagues, like, I don't know, mean squared error, maximum likelihood estimation, whatnot. So slowly but surely, I started to move into move towards teaching. A couple of years ago, maybe it was 5 years ago, I started to write math explainers on Twitter, which is an odd place to do any kind of serious content, but it worked well for me. People liked my explanations. And then I realized that I basically have a material for an entire book. And 5 years later, here we are. The book is releasing the day after tomorrow.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for that introduction, Tivadar. So, before we take this forward, just a couple of things just lay down for the audience over here. Wow, there are people in different time zones. Jeffrey Cosby says, "Good morning," and it's where I am. It's late in the evening. Well, yeah, Hania, it's 5 p.m. where you are. I believe you're in Europe. I'm in the UK, so it's 4 p.m. over here. So yeah, it's almost time to log out for us. Uh, so Tivadar, I just wanted to inform everyone over here. So if you have any queries, just pop them in the chat. I'll just pop them up on the screen just like this, and then I'll read it out loud, and Tivadar will answer those queries for you. Uh, the other thing, as you can see at the bottom, there's a ticker going on over here. There are a couple of ebooks to be given away. Just enter in hashtag packed as Ray's already picked up on. Thank you, Ray. So yeah, just do this. Just comment hashtag packed, and then we'll do a raffle. It will be randomly picked up. I'm not going to do anything. I'll share my screen and I'll do the raffle for you. So, Tewada, while we're waiting for everyone to think about what questions they should ask you to learn from you or to challenge you or whatever it is, I have quite a few queries for you. So let me start with mine. So I've got them listed on my other screen over here. So I'll just read them out for you. So where do I start with math if I want to understand machine learning properly?
Linear algebra. That's my bet, because basically linear algebra is the foundation of machine learning models, especially deep learning, like neural
Mhm.
networks, and the ability to handle matrix and tensor multiplication is really useful, if not essential, if you want to understand how things work behind the scenes. And Coincidentally, this is also the first part of my book, right? So the book is linear algebra, calculus, probability theory, and in my opinion, this is the order in which one should tackle the topics. However, it's not necessarily linear. So basically, you can do in any order if you want. But my bet is linear algebra. I'm a fan of linear algebra.
And what level would you say? So I think let's lay it down this way. Like, so if someone is purchasing your book, what level of linear algebra should they be aware of? Because I learned linear algebra at school, but I guess that was pretty basic linear algebra: x plus y, and find the value of x. A square plus b square equals c square. Well, that's geometry, not algebra, but it's used over here. But anyway, so is that the basic level of it, or there needs to be a little advanced level of it, or what level of algebra should someone be aware of before picking up the book?
My aim was high school mathematics.
Hmm.
If you graduated from high school, then you can get started with the book. I think, and especially if you are a student at university course about machine learning or maybe mathematics, it would be a great companion for you, regardless of your current knowledge level. Of
Hmm.
course, high school mathematics won't be able to get you that far, but you will be able to get started, and that's enough for you.
Yeah, and we're getting quite a few comments on YouTube about it. So I can see there's someone called Angelos Marcos who's saying that having followed the book during its writing is an excellent one. Well
Thank you.
done. So well done to you,
I'm
Tawada. I'm
glad.
pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the well done is for you, not for me. So yeah, again, a reminder: if you all have any queries, please feel free to pop them up in the chat, and Tivadar will answer them for you. While I'll continue getting my queries answered. So why does math matter if, well, yeah, if libraries do all the work, TensorFlow, PyTorch, if they're meant to do all the work for you, so why does math really matter for me to learn?
Because the language of machine learning is mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down to the lower levels, I mean, basically libraries like TensorFlow, scikit-learn, they are great. I'm a fan of those, but they provide you only a user level understanding, maybe bit below the surface if you dive deep into it. But usually I find that if something goes wrong, not exactly as
Mm-hmm.
you planned, then you need to able to pop the hood and do some math if you want to fix your problems.
I know that's quite an interesting metaphor, right? Like if there are any problems, you just open the hood, just like when you're driving your car, if there are any problems and you're not aware of it, you open the hood, and when you're not aware of what those problems are, you read a manual, and that's where your book comes into the picture.
Yeah, I mean, the car analogy is a pretty good one when it comes to
Hmm.
learning not only mathematics but basically lower level programming languages like C or maybe even assembly. They are
Hmm.
not that popular right now because of the higher level of abstractions available to the users, but they are essential for us because everything is built upon them.
True, true. And while we're waiting for people to comment their queries, I think it would be important just to show them what your book is and what we're talking about, because it just feels like we are rambling about something and a lot of people may not be aware of it. Can you see my screen, Devada?
I can, yes.
Okay. So basically, this is the book that Tivadar has written. And just for anyone who's not sure if they should buy this book or if they should purchase it, there is a small version of the book which we are giving away for free. It's an ebook. All you can do is just go over here, enter your email address, and you will get a good tester version of it. You'll understand what it is. And then if you do like the book, you can come back here. Uh, you can just get your full book on Packt, our website directly, on Amazon. The benefit of buying it on our website directly is the fact that, well, you get a free ebook as well, and you can also get access to an AI assistant to answer while you're reading the book. We've already got a few people talking about the book who've read it, so thank you for them. But yeah, I'll just share this link with all of you on the chat. So if anyone wants to check the book out, you all can do that. And okay, so Tivada, how do I connect mathematic concepts to actual machine learning models?
I think it will happen organically if you start doing machine learning projects. basically that's the best way to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Usually learning is not a linear process. So the best thing to do is to start building something, or maybe even if you are not ready to tackle your own projects, I think you can basically do courses, and then you will be able to see where the math comes in. And if you encounter something which is not familiar to you, you just
Mm-hmm.
look it up and learn on the go. To be fluent in mathematics, you have to use it, right? So reading a textbook about it is not enough. You have to practice and basically have to speak the language in order to not forget it, and in order to
Okay.
learn it. Basically, this is the same how you learn languages, right? Because when you are in a language course and you learn the grammar from textbooks, it's good up until some point. But if you want to really speak the language, you have to go out and talk to people in that language.
Mm. I
The
think
same is true for mathematics.
yeah. Talking about mathematics and machine learning brings me to my next question. Like I often go through this imposter syndrome, uh, where I feel that most of my knowledge, well, I'm not a technical person like you and most of the people attending over here are, but I go through this imposter syndrome because if my research knowledge is quite secondhand or even third hand at times from what I hear, read, and yeah. And so, how can I stop this feeling of imposter syndrome in machine learning conversations? For someone who is beginning, for someone who's at my level, who's right at the start, and they want to pick up your book, or they just want to learn math in general. Well, let's not talk about your book. Probably they just want to learn math. So, how do they stop feeling that imposter syndrome?
That's a really difficult question. I don't
Okay.
don't don't know, to be honest, but
Okay.
usually the key lies in a supportive environment, which is
Mm-hmm.
not always under your control. But if someone makes you feel that you are not enough, then you should
Mm-hmm.
maybe probably find a more supportive environment. Because in my experience, you can learn mathematics no matter where are you in your studies. Like in elementary school, I was below average in mathematics. My old math teacher couldn't believe that I got a PhD. But I was able to do a PhD because I worked hard, and I basically persevered and put decades into mathematics. It's possible for everyone. I don't consider myself above average. I'm pretty sure my cognitive capabilities are not above average, but I just did a lot of work. And it would probably work for you as well. So if you put in the time to actually learn something and build something, imposter syndrome will go away. I myself never really felt imposter syndrome because I'm a naturally confident person. I don't know if you can tell. I never had this issue. But if you work a lot, it will go away, probably.
Okay. And
Just
okay,
don't
there we,
don't
we have a
don't
first.
don't
Sorry, go
listen
on.
to the don't listen to those people who will make you feel imposter syndrome. That's the key. Just block them out and you will be fine.
Yeah, it's mainly internal though, right? It's listening to yourself. I need to stop listening to myself then.
But if you
Okay.
start seeing small successes, they will compound, and you will
Hmm.
feel that you can do basically anything.
Okay. Well, we got our first question from Alex. Alexander Antarena on LinkedIn inquires, what learning resources did you use?
I
I
mean,
guess can you start?
yeah, for mathematics, I was a math student, so I got excellent lectures from my professors, and basically we had books written by them, which I could share you, but they are written in Hungarian, so you probably would be unable to read them. But when I moved into machine learning, I basically got all my knowledge from free courses, couple of books. One of the books which was my favorite was Pattern Recognition and Machine Learning from Christopher Bishop. That was the book that got me into the theory of machine learning. The online course of Andrew I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but he's the guy
NG?
behind Coursera and Stanford,
Yes.
pretty influential one. That's the machine learning course I recommend to every beginners. And back when I started out in 2016, there was a course from Fast AI, if you know that.
Mhm.
That course might be a little bit out to date, but this is still an excellent course. Those were my learning resources, research articles. When I was about to basically push the state of the art results. I hope this is an adequate answer.
Yeah, I've always pronounced his last name as NG because yeah, I don't know how it's pronounced. So probably I don't know, it's Ing or NG. I'll have to ask someone. Yeah, I think Alex
Pronunciation
is
is
also. Yeah, sorry. Go on pronunciation.
Yeah, pronunciation is not my strong suit as well. I mostly speak Hunglish, which is English with a Hungarian accent. This is very recognizable for anyone who knows a Hungarian person.
Very similar to me, right? Most Indians speak English, but at least people from my part of India, Hindi and English. So yeah, and I think Alex is saying the same thing. Like, looks like there was a clear problem with your teacher explaining the content. I'm wondering how you found good learning resources. But thanks for
Google.
explaining that. Oh,
I, I,
Google.
I Googled a lot, but now you can probably find better learning resources from large language models. So right now, if I want to learn something quickly, I have a very,
Mm.
very easy to explain pipeline. I use Gemini, the 2.5 Pro version of Gemini. I asked them to do a research on a subject like anomaly detection, large language models, whatever. It gives me like a very detailed research report. I convert it to a podcast with Notebook LM. It's also a Google product. I'm not supported by Google, by the way, but I'm a fan of their large language models. And then I listen to that podcast while I'm doing dishwashing or maybe when I'm working out. And this is how I can learn complex topics in a matter of hours. Not master, but just dip my feet.
Also, well, I'll give you a hint, Tivadar. There's a brilliant book written by someone called Tivadar Danka. So you all don't have to go through this trouble. Why not check that out? He went through all
Yeah.
the trouble for you. Okay. Uh, there's another query. How do you compare ChatGPT 4.0 versus Gemini 2.5? Well, we're going a little off topic, but how do you compare it in your
I'm
experience?
not Yeah, sure. I'm not a professional in large language models, but I just like the style of Gemini 2.5 better. Cannot really explain it why. The answers are more detailed. That with the ChatGPT there was this sycophancy problem, which is basically whatever you set to it, it's praised up to the high heavens. And most of the time I use large language models to refine my writing. By the way, I didn't use large language models for the book because most contents in the book were written before ChatGPT came out. I
Mhm.
only use large language models for editing, creating landing pages, social media posts, whatever. But I always start from an original content which I wrote because I enjoy writing. And whenever I use ChatGPT to refine a headline, a title, or something, it was pretty much useless because it was praising all of my work, even when I found my writing subpar on that particular paragraph. Gemini 2.5 didn't have that problem, and it also is much detailed in research. However, regarding the image generation capabilities, I like ChatGPT 4.0 more.
Okay. Now, so bringing it back on topic, well, there is another query. Steve Colpin. So Steve inquires, do you think the emergence of AI is going to reduce problem-solving skills for future generations?
Usually, I think in terms of probabilities and uncertainties. So I will be unable to give you a yes or no answer. I think it lies somewhere in a spectrum. It will reduce some problem solving skills for most people. That's for sure. But if you are a researcher, if your job is to push state of the art, then you are unable to rely on AI, because AI learns from the training data, and it cannot really solve new scientific problems, up to my knowledge, at least. Whenever I tried this for research, for solving problems that no one knows the answer, they fail, right?
Mm.
And to push the state of the art, you will not be able to use AI. You will be able to use AI to basically collect information, solve problems that are already being solved. But for the average people, non-technical people, I think ChatGPT, or maybe not ChatGPT, but large language models will do most of the thinking for them. Yes.
And then Steve himself is quite an expert in the industry. He's extremely well renowned. I know him very well. Steve, what do you think about the emergence of AI? You meet so many people, you speak to them at conferences and so many different places that you meet them. I think he may know this much, much better than any of us would over here. He is exceptionally experienced, like over 20, 25 years. He's been in the industry.
I'm just a
Don't
user
you?
of large language models.
Yeah. There's one query on YouTube, and potentially I might know the answer for this. So let's pick this up. So Khidr Aisha on YouTube inquires that, are you planning to introduce a video lecture series based on the book? Do you want to
Yeah,
take
that
this?
would be nice. Yeah, this is in my plans. Yes, I'm very shy with camera. This is the first time I'm live ever. Even if you were a member of the early access for the book or follow me on social media, this is the first time, probably the first time you see me live. Right? So
Hmm.
I'm usually shy about my accent, my I don't know how I talk, and this is why I don't usually do video. Kind of
You can,
contradicting what I told you before about my confidence, right? So I'm confident about my cognitive capabilities, but when it comes to speaking in public, I'm not so confident. And a video series is basically that. But I'm definitely planning a video series. Yes. Bottom line, you will probably get one.
you can give me the script and I'll do the talking for you. I think
All right.
hopefully my accent is good enough, hopefully for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Steve has replied. He said that he's exactly right. So what he's happy with your response, and yeah, good that you're on track. Jeff, you're looking at this. Okay. So the page that I showed you is a landing page of the book. How can I share? Let me do it from my phone. I'll share the link of the landing page. Or if anyone from the Pack team is online and if they could share the landing page on LinkedIn, that would be helpful. That would be extremely helpful. Yes, I'll do that in case no one else does. Jeff, yeah, Jeff says that you're doing great. So confidence is definitely not an issue over there. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah. So Steve wants the link to the book. Steve, it's in one of my posts. I keep posting about the book. So if you go on my profile, but I'll DM it to you and I'll also share the landing page link in a bit over here. We'll take one last query before we do the first giveaway, and then we'll come back to queries. So one last query before the giveaway is from Arjun on LinkedIn. Is the math in deep learning actually harder, or is it just the same concept scaled up compared to traditional machine learning like regression, classification?
I
Over
think
to you,
it's a
sir.
sec- I think it's the second part of your answer. One of my favorite memes is the midwit meme. Probably you know that. And one of my creations about this midwit meme is that basically linear regression, deep learning, linear regression, right? So deep learning is a bunch of linear regressions and activation functions and whatnot. Of course, I'm oversimplifying the subject, and there are some concepts that are new to deep learning, specific architectures like, I don't know, convolutional layers, bench normalization, dropout. They are unique, more or less, to deep learning. You will unlikely to find that in traditional machine learning attention layers, for example. But if you have really good foundations with mathematics and linear algebra, especially, you will be able to understand those architectures as well. This is why I say that being able to speak the language of machine learning is really important. And for me, it's mathematics.
Okay. I've with for Steve and Jeff, I've commented on the post directly and I've tagged you with the link of the book. So yeah, you could probably see it on LinkedIn. Just in case you miss it right now while the live is going on, that's completely fine. You'll receive a notification on LinkedIn. So after this is over, you can just click on that notification. Oh there. Ah, thanks. Jeff found it himself. Yeah, but perfect. Thank you so much, Jeff. I also tagged you. So let's do our first giveaway and then we'll take queries. Ta-da-ta. Where is it? Share screen, giveaway, and you can just let me know, Tivadar, when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, Tivadar?
Now I can see your screen.
Perfect. So we've got 29 entries so far, and I'll just click on the draw, and then it will automatically pick it up. Oh, perfect. So congratulations, Kizar Aisha. Uh, just can you please get in touch with me on LinkedIn? My name is just as it's spelled on the chat over here, Tushar Gupta. Uh, I'll just type it in here in the chat. So you can just find me on LinkedIn. It's very easy to find me. Just find me and then uh, DM me. I'll get the ebook organized for you. Congratulations, Kedar Aisha. There is another giveaway a little later. So do not be disappointed in case you haven't won yet. We'll do another raffle towards the end. And we'll get back to getting queries. There's a comment from Matthew. I haven't read it, it's a bit long, but let's do it here. So Matthew says that I first started learning about machine learning about 2.5 years ago. The first book I found about machine learning was Deep Learning with Python by Francois Chollet. Uh, I also took the deep learning course on Coursera by Andrew Ng. I like Claude. I use Sonnet 4. It is true that LLMs will negatively impact humans by replacing some of the cognitive thinking that humans do. Okay, so it is more of a comment. It is not a. Yeah, if you have a comment on that, go on.
Hi, Matthew. It's nice to see you here. Basically, the book by Francois Chollet is really good, and he's the guy behind the Keras library,
Hmm.
which was an abstraction on top of TensorFlow. So now that you mention this, Keras was the first deep learning library I have used ever, and the high-level API was really useful for me to get familiar with machine learning. And also the tutorial of Keras was excellent. Like I'm a great fan of this framework. About the second part of your question, is it true that large language models will negatively impact humans by replacing some cognitive thinking that humans do? I think it's like one door closes, another door opens, right? So before we had Google, we had to be really good of finding information, right? Which was part of our thinking. Now that Google search can solve most of our problems, we don't have to do that anymore. We can focus on different kind of problems. But now most people are pretty bad at research, at digging up information, especially if the information is not necessarily available just by the tip of their fingers, right? Because this is a task that was basically delegated to Google and search engines. And I think there will be a similar effect in large language models. There will be some damage on our cognitive capabilities, not damage, but change, right? Change is not necessarily bad. There will be more opportunities downstream. At least I hope so.
Perfect.
Claude Sonnet 4 is also really good for coding. I haven't tried the 4 model just yet. I was a fan of 3.7, but in my cursor, I use Claude Sonnet 3.7. That worked for me the best because the answers are really compact to the point, and it's great for coding. So I agree on that.
Okay. So Steve has another query on LinkedIn. He inquires that do you monitor your model results to identify type 1 and type 2 errors?
No, it was a long time when I did that, right? So I'm not doing any practical things anymore, unfortunately. I miss it. I miss research. I miss training machine learning models. I got into basically education a couple of years ago, and ever since then, my projects aim to teach other than to push state of the art. So no. But when I did statistics, I sure like type 1, type 2 errors, I always kept track of it. That was before my deep learning days. When I did deep learning, I was not basically the type 1, type 2 errors were not that important for me. Deep learning is for me, it was, what is the right terminology for this? Like I mostly cared about the results, not the correct, not necessarily the theoretical correctness of the results. I was in computer vision, so most of my tasks were pixel wide segmentation and whatnot, and I had no need to track type 1, type 2 errors. I think after I finish the sequel for this book, I will go back to research, or at least I will pick up a research project.
Yeah,
That's
that
just a hint for my future. Yeah.
yeah. Tivadar has ended up giving away a secret. Well, he's planning a sequel to this book, and well,
I,
it's a little bit away from now, but yeah.
yeah, I think if you follow me, you already know that I'm working on a sequel. So
Yeah. So Tivadar, to keep the queries flowing, I think we'll wait for the audience comments to come in with their queries. I have a lot more while you're waiting for them. So, is it better to learn math in a theoretical way or through coding applications? What do you reckon?
I think it depends on your mindset, on your origins, so to say. If you are coming from more theoretical sciences like mathematics, physics, computer science, maybe some branches of computer science, I think your way towards machine learning or deep learning or AI, whatever, will be from mathematics. However, if you are a domain expert, then you will learn mathematics after you learned applications, after you fitted models, after you did some actual machine learning work.
Interesting. When you talk about different sciences, so do you recommend focusing on math for specific machine learning subfields like natural language processing, computer vision? Like, is it better for one and not for the other, or is it important for all of them, for all the subfields?
I think a foundational level of mathematics is important for everyone who's into machine learning. Depending on your actual interests, position, this level might change. So if you are a machine learning engineer, then you probably won't need to dive deep into the trenches of probability theory. You will need to get good at basically thinking in terms of probabilities, but you won't need to prove the Markov inequality or the law of large numbers. If you are more on the research side, like a PhD
Mhm.
student in machine learning or data science, then you have to do the mathematics. You cannot get away. I think
Yeah.
I'm just one person among many data scientists and machine learning engineers, but this is my opinion.
Yeah, no, I sort of agree with it as well. And I had a follow-up question, but there's an interesting question from Steve. I would rather have get that answered first. So Steve again on LinkedIn inquires that you mentioned that you weren't a uh, great student in grade school. When did you find your passion for math, and how can I get my kids more interested in learning math?
I remember the exact moment. So this is the good question. Back when I was a high school student, I learned a popular science article about chaos theory, which is basically a branch of mathematics and physics in the intersection, and I was fascinated by this topic. And this is when I decided that I want to be a mathematician. I was 16 years old, and I wasn't a good student in high school either, right? So I spent most of my time after school getting drunk on the playground right next to the school building. This is what I did. I never basically put effort into learning stuff up until I read that article. I don't know how I found that. Maybe I think my father had a subscription for this journal. It was a popular Hungarian science journal. It's called Life and Science, Élet és Tudomány, if there are some Hungarians here. And then I read that article, and it was that for me. How can you get your kids more interested in learning math? I wish I knew. I don't know. I think how can you get anyone interested in anything is to build things that are interesting. Don't approach it like a textbook, a technical book approach is something. I think it's more important to do projects, and while you do the projects, you will learn things. For instance, I don't know how to basically build a Rubik cube solver from a Lego Spike set.
Mm.
This is what I do, for instance.
I think my wife works in a school at the moment. Well, she's been a teacher for like the past 6 years and counting now. So what she tends to do to get students interested in math is just gamify things. So yeah,
Yeah.
so they play with a lot of blocks because her kids are quite young as well. It's early years, so it's like 3 to 5 years age group that she works with. So it's just about gamifying things for that age group. And I don't know about a later age group, Steve. I'm so sorry. I don't have kids. When I get there, I'll probably reach out to you, Steve, and I'll ask you what made it work for your kids, and then you can advise me.
If your kids are around 12, 14, 16 years, I recommend the computer game called Space Cam, which is a game by Zachtronics. He's a guy who creates awesome puzzle games, and Space Cam is like a fantastic programming puzzle game.
Mm.
That one I think might interest your children. Or one of my kids is really enjoying Portal 2, which is also a computer game, right? And in Portal 2, you have to solve puzzles, so to say. And this is how he gets interested in thinking, by solving puzzles in Portal 2. Right now, he's already building obstacle courses and whatnot. So gamification is a good thing, I think.
Okay. Space Pang. Okay, Space Camp is the IGN game that I can look at, but IGN has reviewed it as well, not IGN game.
Yeah,
IGN has reviewed it. I can see that.
I'm
Okay.
a big fan of
Interesting.
Space Camp.
There are quite a lot more now. Just a quick Google and it comes up. Puzzle Space Camp, Slave Away Camp Ending. So many. Wow.
Games
Yeah, they've
games
all
are really
recent.
important.
Mm.
I think the
Sorry.
think the essence. Sorry, I think the essence of mathematics is thinking, not necessarily the technical concepts like vectors and matrices, whatnot.
Mm.
Mathematics is coming from logic and thinking, and by playing games, board games, computer games, whatever, you can teach them to think.
Yeah. So coming back to the original discussion that we were having about you, in your response, you were saying that you need different level of math for different things, but a foundational level is important for all of it, whether it's basic math, basic machine learning, or NLP, or computer vision, something as complicated as that. So, how does the math needed for classical machine learning compare to the math needed for deep learning? Like, how different is it, or how technical is it?
I think in deep learning we understand much less about how a model makes a decision. I'm
Hmm.
not an expert on that subject as well, but I think in deep learning we are a little bit more mechanistical, right? So we are really good at describing clever architectures. We
Hmm.
don't really understand how they work. In classical machine learning, we do the opposite, right? So models are simple to describe. We don't need to be masters of linear algebra to define models like linear regression. But on the other hand, we know a lot about how they work and why they do what they do, why they make
Mhm.
this and that decision. The classical machine learning is more of a science, and deep learning for me is like stirring a pile of linear algebra. At least that's how the XKCD comic said that.
Yeah.
Stirring a pile of matrices until your answers look right. Just
Mm.
Google XKCD and linear algebra.
XKCD.
Yeah, this is the comic creator and
Oh yes,
very
yeah.
very talented guy, and he has a comic called either it's called machine learning or linear algebra. But that's how I look at machine learning. Is you stir a pile of matrices and vectors and you stir them until it looks right. That's deep
Yes.
learning.
Yes. I know XKCD CD very well because I think this person's name is Randall Munro. He's even
Yes.
got a very famous series of books called What If.
Yeah.
Ah, speaking of, well, it's right in front of me.
Yeah. That's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got both his books, What If and What If 2. Amazing books. But yes, it's fun books. It's, yeah. So he's got puzzles as well. Yes, you're right. He's got comic strips and all of that. So I was saying that Phuc Ming on LinkedIn agrees with what you're saying, that if doing a PhD in AI, it's all about maths based on his experience. He's saying that. So I had another query. Oh, yes. What role does math play in model evaluation and interpretability?
I don't want to speak about topics I'm not an expert in. So
Okay.
let me just say I don't know.
Okay.
Interpretability is one of my many blind spots, right? I
Okay.
don't know about that one. Hopefully I will be able to pick just pick up the fundamentals.
Okay. So let's
I think
talk about fundamentals then. So
I
what
think
are
I
the
think
some?
it's more about statistics. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the common mistakes that beginners tend to make while learning machine learning? Well, learning math for machine learning, and how can they avoid them?
But can you repeat the question because my
Yeah.
audio got cut out for a minute?
No worries. So what are some of the most common mistakes that people make while learning mathematics for machine learning, and how can they avoid them?
I think they get focused on technicalities instead of the big picture.
Hmm.
That's my in my experience. People tend to take mathematics very seriously, and mathematics is not that serious. I had a professor at my university who used to say that I'm a mathematician, so I can do anything in my anything I imagine, right? So just think about how complex numbers were invented, or maybe invented, discovered. That's up to a debate. But complex numbers were born by someone who decided that even though -1 doesn't have a square root, I will just use this symbolic expression and keep computing with it, right? And this was like a creative abuse of rules that led to the discovery of complex numbers. And if you take the rules of mathematics very seriously, you will never discover complex numbers. So as a mathematician, you basically have to be willing to bend the rules, throw the rules away, whatnot. One of the most uh, efficient methods of learning any topics, I say, is that especially in mathematics, is that you change the assumptions slightly and see what happens. So in mathematics, you have theorems. Theorems have assumptions and
Hmm.
conclusions, and you just try to take away an assumption and see what happens. And this is the best way to really understand a technical topic like mathematics. If you are brave enough to break it, then you will be able to put it back up.
And how important is it for is proof-based understanding versus intuitive grasp of math for machine learning?
I think you need both. Intuitive understanding is more important, especially for users, right? Who are engineers, not necessarily researchers. If you have like a a good geometric representation in your head about what's happening in the underlying model, then you
Mhm.
are good to go for most of the time. If you want to push the state of the art, then sometimes you will need proofs.
Perfect.
But you will be able to make it without proofs. I think I even say this in the introduction of this book, or maybe not. But if you encounter a proof, you can skip it. You're free to skip any proof, and then when you are comfortable with the subject, you can go back to the proof and see how it's done. So basically, understanding has these three levels. Level one is you know how to use a theorem.
Perfect.
Level two is you understand the proof,
Mm-hmm.
and level three is that you basically understand why there are that assumptions in the proof.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So let's do one thing. We are almost close to the end of an hour. Uh, we can do the final giveaway and the final raffle now. So in the meantime, while we're doing the final raffle, if anyone has any queries, please feel free to prop it into the chat, and Tivadar will take that up, and then we will close the session. So let's go back and do the final raffle. And my screen is up. So yeah, Kizar was the first winner. Congratulations, Kizar. Kizar Aisha, please get in touch with me on LinkedIn. It'll be very difficult for me to find out who you are uh, on YouTube. So please get in touch with me on LinkedIn, me or Tibadar, and we'll do the final raffle right now. And there you go. Oh, another one on YouTube. Congratulations, Swapna Velpula. Congratulations, Swapna. Same thing for you as well. Please get in touch with me on LinkedIn or get in touch with Tevadar. As long as, yeah, you have your name and your email address or anything, it is very easy for us to get in touch. Uh, we've got a final query, so I'll close this. Congratulations to both our winners once again, Kedar Aisha and Swapna Velpula. Please get in touch with any of us. Yes, Alexander is inquiring, do LinkedIn comments count? Yes, they do. They randomly just pick them up in the raffle. There have been times when they pick up both on LinkedIn and none on YouTube. But yeah, it's just picking them up at random. I saw your image come up as well when the raffle was going on. So yeah, there's one final query. We'll take that up. So there's Qasim Ali on LinkedIn who says, "Hey, I'm doing PhD in mathematics. I'm working on geometric deep learning. When I see such title, Mathematics of Machine Learning, some problems of mine come to mind. That is about machine learning for mathematics. When I use ML things in my mathematical research to solve problems, some conservative mindset people says you're doing the same as some ML engineer is doing, but you got admission as mathematician. Yes, it's illogical, but what will you recommend to answer if such a question arises?" Let's say arises.
I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly, but I think the issue is that mathematics is about proofs and machine learning is about evidence. In mathematics, you don't evidence is not sufficient. You need proofs. And that's a completely different mindset. In machine learning, basically you say that I have this data, and based on this data, this is what I can approximate about root reality, whatever about the rules of how life and this aspect of science works. And this is a different mindset. I don't know how can you use machine learning in mathematics except maybe some kind of reasonings by large language models or maybe even reasoning models. I don't really know. But the two are fundamentally different.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate case. And so before we close this session, I would like to just inform everyone about the book. Well, we know where the book is. Uh, I'll share the link again. Tivadar, if you follow Tivadar, you'll keep seeing his post about the book. And there's one last place where you could see Tivadar and you could meet all different experts. There are many of them who are coming at this event of ours, which is happening in July. I would just like to show you all about it. So, Tivadar, just let me know when you can see my screen. Yes, you
I can
can.
see your screen. Yes.
Okay. So, there's an early bird discount going on, which is a 40% discount. It's a 3-day machine learning summit. The first day is there are so many people. There's Sebastian Rashka, there's Thomas Neal, Imran Ahmed. These are all experienced veteran industry experts. Tivada is also speaking at this event. The first day is dedicated to uh, to taking your models from labs to production, ML stack in action. Then there is scaling machine learning intelligence, and then there is enterprise generative AI. And it's an amazing event. Do have a look at it. You can either buy tickets for a day each, or you can buy tickets to the entire conference. It's on July 16th to 18th. It's a virtual conference. So don't worry if you cannot physically attend one. And yeah, there's a 40% discount ongoing at the moment. The link is very easy. I'll share that in the chat as well. And yeah, if anyone from Packt is online, if they can share that for LinkedIn, that would be helpful. So yeah, that's about it. Any closing thoughts from you, Tivadar, before we close and wrap up the session?
Now I feel I'm in the spotlight, so I don't have any grand closing thoughts that come to mind. But I think writing this book was a pretty transformative experience to me, and I'm grateful for everyone who supported me during this journey. And I'm talking about those who follow me or even got into the early access. So in the past couple of years, this is what I did as a full-time job, right? I had no other things to do, just this book and basically advertising it in social media. And I wouldn't be able to do this without your support. So thank you very much. Thank all of you. The Packt team have been wonderful. Like, Tushar has been great to me, and the guys who were working with the editing team, Amit, Dipayan, Kushar, you know who you are. Matthew, who was a reviewer for my book, you were all great. And I would just like to say thanks to all of you. That's my final thought.
Thank you so much for Tivadar. Yeah. Thank you everyone for attending as well. Hopefully we'll see you soon. If you have any queries, feel free to reach out to me, to Tivadar, anyone. We'll be more than happy to help. And thanks a lot for your time. Hope to see you soon for the next episode of Expert Insights Live. Thank you so much. Bye.
See you.